You use the word 0 to 1. What does it mean?
0 to 1 basically means that you are resetting things. There is no playbook. You have to throw the playbook away and start from 0.
You were at Amazon and Yahoo. So I'm curious, what have you seen similarities, differences, either 0 to 1 or just regular product development?
You should not solve the way the customer is asking you to solve. You should understand the intent of their problem and try to apply your own intuition.
You're an engineer. I'm sure you use a lot of AI. So how are you seeing AI help with this 0 to 1 or systems thinking?
You can treat the software as an ocean, and AI has given everyone a life jacket. So now everyone can jump into the ocean, but they may not reach the shore.
0 to 1. We've heard this many times in the case of product development. Today, we have somebody who has actually lived through it, both at startups as well as large companies. We welcome to the Digital Twin podcast, Anurag Nilesh.
Thank you, Niren, for having me on the podcast.
So, how about you start with telling us a little bit about yourself and where all you have worked?
Yeah, so I started my work in India. I worked at large corps like Yahoo and Amazon. And then I got an opportunity to join a startup called Rocket Fuel here. So I would say my journey into startup world was by accident. It was not a deliberate choice. And after that, I think it was a very destined moment I felt, because the more I worked in the startup environment and got to solve really hard, challenging problems, I got more interested in learning how the 0 to 1 journey happens again and again. So I repeated the same process at Eightfold when I joined as the fifth engineer there. And at Viven, from the day zero, I was part of the founding team.
That's an awesome set of experiences. Now, tell us a little bit about what Rocket Fuel and Eightfold did.
Yeah, Rocket Fuel was in the advertising tech world. It was bidding for ad slots to make the ad campaigns pick the right slot so that the advertiser was getting their money worth.
Okay, got it. And Eightfold?
And Eightfold was in the talent matching space, where we were trying to figure out how can you solve the talent needs using technology, how do you match the right candidate to the right job, and also how do you help the employee grow in their career using talent management solutions.
Got it. Now, you use the word 0 to 1. What does it mean? What is 0? What is 1?
0 to 1 basically means that you are resetting things. There is no playbook. You have to throw the playbook away and start from 0 to 1.
Okay.
The past experiences at some point are no longer relevant to the current problem. But what are relevant is the principles you apply, the systems thinking you apply to this.
And you mentioned there's a playbook which needs to be thrown out or may not be as relevant. What's an example where you might have applied something or been surprised by something that you knew did not apply in a 0 to 1 case?
So there was an interesting use case at one of my previous companies, that they had a large applicant pool which was sitting on one of the positions. And since it was a large corp, they had a high volume of applicants applying for it. And so there was one button which was there on that pipeline page, which if you click on it, it brought down the entire system because it synced all the candidates and trying to um, like, and it would add a lot of system overload, right? So we obviously we didn't know that this is the root cause. So what we saw in the backend systems, which I was leading as data intelligence, was there's a spike in terms of traffic. There are too many. The queue backlog is not getting cleared. So we analyzed the queue backlog. We tried to optimize the process by staggering the request, adding rate limits. Still, this problem would keep reoccurring every now and then, right? And it was impacting. A lot of recruiters are seeing that, hey, our applicants are not getting synced into the system. And we were looking at P95 and all those metrics overall looked good. So we were not able to understand what is happening. And that was a good use case where we took a step back to really understand what is the origin event here. And once we understood the origin event, then we asked the question hey, why are people clicking on that button? What they want from it? And we did some user feedback survey, and the answer was very surprising. the answer was like when they were clicking on the button, it was just a force of habit. Uh, they actually didn't even know what the button did.
Mhm.
Uh, so, so they had just gotten used to the fact
Mm.
that like if I click this button, this
Mm.
system will get in sync. So to solve for it, like the solution we took was added a friction. We sort a model, asked them like, hey, what is the reason why you
Mm.
want to sync? Do you want to sync the job description? Do you want to sync new applicants in last 24 hours?
Mm.
So, and then the user made a choice, and that definitely reduced the system. This was a good example of like systems thinking, solving the root cause instead of solving the symptoms which you're seeing down the street.
Yeah, actually, that's a good example because you're going all the way from what the system is doing to what is the intent behind
Right.
what the user is looking for, and then saying what is the right solution. Um, and I presume that did not bring down the system.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Now, say a little more about what systems thinking means.
Yeah.
Here, you've started alluding to a few systems clearly, but I'm curious, like, how can you generalize it?
Yeah, I think system thinking in very basic terms is asking the question why. Like, why is this pattern repeating? What is the root cause? What is the origin event? And what is the user intent, right?
Mm.
And there's a common saying that like you should not solve the way the customer is asking you to solve. You should understand the intent of their problem and try to apply your own intuition behind it solving it.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Understood. And I believe you've written a playbook on this as well.
Yes.
Yeah. What does that cover?
So the playbook is so I believe in this unitary method that I've written the playbook for my 24-year-old self who was joining Rocket Fuel 14 years ago.
Ah. Okay.
So
Okay.
the thought
Mm.
behind writing the playbook
Mm.
is that there are plenty of or thousands of engineers
Mm.
who are probably at that stage in life where they're 24-year-old and just getting started into the startup world.
Mm.
So what are the lessons I have learned, experiences I have lived, and what would I tell them, right? So it's kind of a personal journey or journal into what advice I would give to that 24-year-old.
Okay. Does it say anything about AI?
So I think that's an interesting story because that 14 years ago, like when I started at Rocket Fuel,
Mhm.
uh, AI was there, but it was more the traditional
Yeah.
ML systems. And now that playbook is again out of picture in most of the cases.
Mm.
So there's a new playbook.
Yeah.
So that's why my playbook is focusing on the principles behind what goes in a startup and how to like
Mm.
maintain your consistency in terms of excellence and asking that question why again and again.
Okay. Now, regarding startups, you mentioned, not mentioned, you were at Amazon and Yahoo.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what have you seen similarities, differences in either 0 to 1 or just regular product development?
So one definitely I have seen is the bottom up innovation, which happens at startup at a very rapid pace. One of the recent examples I can think of is at Eightfold, where there was a hackathon event in
Mm.
which we were exploring what are the use cases of digital twins. And in the hackathon, one of the ideas I built was building a performance management system
Mm.
where I can write my annual review based on all the work I have done in Jira, Gmail,
Mm.
Google Docs. It would summarize and help me write the
Mm.
summary,
Mm.
which would often take
Seems very useful.
yeah, which would take weeks to
Yeah.
write it down.
Yeah.
And and the pace at which it was adopted
Mm.
and appreciated by the
Mm.
executive leadership was that
Mm.
we had the hackathon in January,
Mm.
and that was also coincidentally the performance review cycle, and it got rolled out to the entire org folder
Mm.
in like within 15 days. So that was a great validation of like things would have never happened so fast in a big company.
Yeah. And why do you think that is? Like, is there something from your experience, like something different about the way things happen, or?
So I would say like in startups, the founders you are closer to the founder.
Mm.
So if
Mm.
you're working on an idea
Mm.
which is aligned with the vision of the founder, then founder definitely can
Mm.
spot that. and accelerate move the pieces around very quickly to execute on it, right? So in this case of hackathon idea, like we had a squad team which was really focusing on execution and unblocking and rolling it out to the entire org.
Okay. Yeah. Now you mentioned you have you're an engineer and an eng lead. I'm sure you use a lot of AI. So how are you seeing AI help with this 0 to 1 or systems thinking?
Yeah. So I think one analogy which I have been thinking about, like what has AI done to the world? So the way I think is like now if you can treat the software as an ocean,
Mm.
and AI has given everyone a life jacket.
Mm.
So now everyone can jump into the ocean, but they may not reach the shore. They don't know how to swim. So to reach the shore, you still need to have the judgment. And
Yeah.
so AI has definitely
Like where is the shore, first of all?
yes.
Yeah.
So AI has
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
reduced the barrier
Yeah.
to entry in terms of like people getting comfortable of jumping into the ocean.
Mm.
But you still need judgment
Yeah.
to figure out like which direction you need to go to and
Yeah.
how do you reach the destination.
Yeah. And in your experience, how do you cultivate this judgment?
So this judgments actually happens more in when conversations where
Mm.
you are learning the why behind the decisions and are not afraid of pushing back to
Mm.
understand the why.
Mm.
Because in this world, in the startup, like I think one of the lessons I have learned is that there is no certain decision. Like
Mm.
life is uncertain, startups are
Mm.
very uncertain. But if you start treating every statement as a certain thing well thought out, then you start losing the intent behind that statement.
Mm.
So it's very important to align yourself with the intent of the user and ask the why.
So Anurag, you mentioned the intent.
Yeah.
Have you found cases where the intent was unexpected? Like you thought the product was going to do something, but the way the user used it was completely different.
Yeah, I think I had a example where we are building Asula,
Mm.
and Asula is a product by which you can talk to digital twins of others.
Mm.
And I have been saying it to my friends and family, like, hey, every conversation should start with an AI.
Mm.
So I gave them a digital twin to start with.
Mm.
So my wife had a very interesting conversation with it. Uh,
Mm. Yeah.
so I was expecting her to ask questions about like, hey, where's your driver license? What's the insurance card information? Like
Yeah.
factual questions.
Uh-huh.
But she started asking questions about like what do you like in life and uh, what kind of sports you
Mm.
follow,
Mm.
and it was able to give reasonable answers.
Mm.
And then she started playing
Mm.
with it further, like
Mm.
trying to tease
Uh-huh.
twin
Mm.
that I know real Anurag more than you.
Mhm.
And the twin was still very respectful
Mhm.
in the way it was answering.
Mhm.
And then we had a very good laugh in the
Mhm.
evening when we finished the conversation.
Yeah. That's interesting because she has always got access to you. Now, switching gears,
Yeah.
going back to the systems thinking,
Yeah.
what's y- what do you think is important for somebody who's, let's say, new in their career, like your 24-year-old self, right? Like, what is important?
So I think one thing I've realized is that startups are not just about the latest trend in data and AI. They're also about psychology and try to find out whether the startup culture within the company is also honoring the psychology of like what do people want to achieve when they join a startup. Most of the people join startup for career growth
Mm.
and trying to also discover what they are capable of. And Eightfold, for example,
Mm.
like had a very powerful mission that realize your potential, which was empowering vision to everyone. That like how do you rally around a common vision and uh, like think on a day-to-day basis, like when you are in ambiguity,
Mm.
how do you ground yourself to think
Mm.
of the bigger picture?
Mm. Okay. Um, and then how does that, so for, let's say somebody is trying to make a career choice, what do you say about like having them learn engineering or computer science, the software engineering industry? Like any advice on that?
I'd say now the playbook in
Mm.
the sense has changed. Like
Mm.
the most important instinct right now is curiosity.
Mm.
Uh, being able to really understand what question to ask,
Mm.
how the systems are working, right? Like
Mm.
because the knowledge has become democratized with Gen AI. So if you ask the right question, you will find the information. Uh, And the barrier to asking a question has also gone down, because previously this information was either buried in books or with people who had experience but did not have time. And digital twins are a great way of like democratizing that experience into accessible more people.
Okay. And for somebody who's building new products from scratch, what have you personally feel you have had to unlearn from how you have been doing things last 15 years or so?
So I would say like the fundamentals remain the same, that like really try to understand why you're solving the problem. And one of my friends had said this interesting quote that if you're joining a startup as a founding engineer or say founder, right? Like that you have to believe that, is this a problem I'm willing to spend a decade of my life on it? And because passion is the validation of the idea may come very down later. Like I mean, you don't know when the idea will take off. But if you're not passionate about the idea, then you will not be able to convince yourself to work day in and day out on that idea. So that is one learning I have in terms of psychology. Like, how do you think about like when you are making a career choice? Uh, Other is trying to figure out like like what is the culture within the company. Like, if you talk to people, like, are they hustling with a purpose, or they are busy without a priority?
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the second part, the busy without the priority.
Yeah. So I think it's great, like how in startups are known for hustle. So so hustle makes sense when everyone know why they are running. It becomes chaos when people are running, but if you stop them and ask, like, hey, why are you running? And they'll say, I don't know. And so they are busy doing something, but the priority is not clear in terms of why they were running.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like defining the intent of what people are trying to achieve. That makes sense. Is there anything else from your playbook that you think is worth sharing with our audience?
I would say like startups in general are a journey which you take, and only then you learn about what goes on in a startup. Startups are often shown as like quick, get quick rich schemes. uh, but
Which we know they're not.
so
Takes a
that
lot of work.
might be the reason like why
Yeah.
you join a startup.
Yeah.
But there's another analogy like which comes to mind is that
Yeah.
uh, however well you try to describe a rainbow to a blind person, you can't describe it. So so there are some journeys which you have to take yourself to realize that whether it's in it for you.
Yeah.
And given that startups also have varied level of success and failures, your experience may not be universal either. So so you have to really understand like what is the background which you are coming with. Maybe that is pushing you into startup or against the startup. Uh, so don't try to follow the wave or follow your friend. Each person has a very unique story behind them.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something earlier about being curious, and I think that certainly helps a lot, regardless of whether you're trying to join a startup or a large company, and then what you do in that, and then understanding all the way from the user intent to how you build products, and then which helps understanding why you're doing certain things. So we have run out of time, but certainly not out of questions for Anurag. Luckily, he has built his digital twin on Ascilla, and he's also uploaded his playbook for systems thinking. So be sure to check it out on ascilla.com for his digital twin.